Hey everyone, Grumpy Scotsman here to have a little discussion. And what we are talking about today are Seiko as good as Rolex. So I am going to just be going over some variables and discussing differences. Uh, One is country of origin. So with Rolex, you have Switzerland. Switzerland is predominantly known for their watches. That is one thing that they are really known for. And one of the main watches, of course, watch brands that they're known for is Rolex. So Rolex is hugely important to Switzerland and vice versa. And the same can be said for Seiko. Um, Japan is really known for quality stuff in their country. Maybe at one time, uh, there was some stuff ignorantly said in the past, but they, the Japanese culture, the Japanese people are beautiful architects and they do amazing builds and engineering. And Seiko's been around since the early 1800s. So they're very important to each other. Seiko and Japan are hugely important to each other. So in this instance, I'm going to say it's a tie, in my opinion. But if you ask the popular consensus of the people, Rolex might have the upper hand here for for country. I'm going to say uh, money retention, investment, um, both are great at holding their value. Seiko, you make money on some Seikos, but right now, Rolex definitely has the upper hand on investment. It can be easily said that any stainless steel model that you have in the Rolex dive watch range, or even their Explorers or anything like that, if you bought it before pre-pandemic, you're going to be making a pretty penny on that for sure. Um, and Seiko, their Grand Seikos, they do hold their value pretty good, but I've owned one before and sold it, and I lost a good chunk of change on it. So my experience personally is that Rolex definitely has the upper hand with investment retention. Excuse me, folks, I'm just getting over a horrible cold. Another thing that we're going to discuss here, another point would be okay, well, if it's not financial investment, how about just cultural status? Um, Rolex is definitely a luxury watch. You're going to be honestly, you're going to be wanting to take an insurance out on those bad boys. Grand Seiko are, yeah, Grand Seiko, there's some models that you're going to want to take insurance out on, but not a whole lot. I mean, the difference is pretty scalable there. Um, Cultural status, I mean, Seikos have a massive cult following, like huge. They're beautiful watches. Everything's proprietary, in-house movements, in-house cases. They do everything in-house. They've been around for longer than Rolex. Um, yeah, they've just been around forever. And you probably don't realize this, but there's many forums and dedicated Facebook pages and groups and followings that it's just all Seiko, everything. Seiko mods Everything about all the different models, all the different years of manufacture and little intricate things that you might want to know. And the same is Rolex has a huge cult following behind it, massive. And it goes without saying, they're the most recognized brand in the entire world. And a lot of people just, even that don't know watches, think that, Rolex is the most expensive, which is far from true. But, if you have a Rolex, you're well-to-do. There's just a status that goes with owning it. And Rolex has done a really amazing job with their advertising campaigns through all the years and years and years. I remember when I was a child, that's where I grew my fascination with watches. Was I used to read old National Geographics from like the 60s and 70s, and Rolex had all these ads in there, and I just always told myself, when I get older, I plan on owning one of those. And it was always a Rolex subby ad or some date jest or something. But long story short is they've done an amazing job over all these generations of advertising and spending the money to be in the public eye. And that's why they are the most widely known brand out there, maybe other than Timex. But and that people put them beside the word, rich, prestige, all that kind of stuff. So they do have an upper hand there as well. For heritage, with heritage, I'm going with Seiko on this. The Seiko just has such a beautiful, beautiful heritage. Like I said, they've been around since the early 1800s. I believe when I researched before this, they were close to being 176 years old or something like that, which is absolutely amazing. Continuously open, not ever being shut down for any reason, and always making watches. And they are the pride and joy of Japan for being their, oldest watch house. Rolex does have a pretty cool storied history, but most of it just comes from them playing their cards right from the beginning. And the fact that they didn't necessarily partake in the quartz game. Now, this is the downfall of a lot of Swiss manufacturers, is when quartz was rocking the world and destroying basically automatic manufacturers. A lot of them had to lean into becoming quartz or drowning in the Seiko quartz game. And Rolex came close to diving into it, and they did release quite a few for a handful of years, but then they pulled it and they stomped it out. And had they not done that, I don't think that they would be in the position that they are in today. So, like I said, Rolex has played their cards right for a very long time, and they've been under management properly since its conception, and they've been making all the right moves, right? They don't make gigantic swings. They make precise, controlled moves. They release just the right amount to the public yearly and don't go over that. And that's one of the failings of Seiko is I think Seiko kind of drowns itself out a little. Here's the thing. It's just like dating. If you make yourself a little too available, tell too much information, you're no longer mysterious, right? There's no longer a whole lot of intrigue. There's not a whole lot of rarity to this or you or anything. So they, I think Seiko's just they need to pull back a little. They need to not make their watches unattainable, but make them a little more controlled, a numbered release per year, so to speak. But they do great. They have a lot of offerings, and that's another thing that Seiko does great, and so does Rolex. But Seiko has a lot of different models, a lot of like, with Rolex, it's kind of rinse and repeat. Here's the same case, the same bezel, just different color bezel, ring, chapter ring, dial iteration, GMT hand, onwards and upwards. Whereas Seiko has like quite different offerings, quite different. Like, for instance, say the Turtle versus the Shogun case versus a Sarb case versus, just there's a lot. Seiko has a huge, massive catalog compared to Rolex. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I feel that Seiko is just slightly under Rolex. I feel that Rolex has positioned themselves really well, and they are the king for sure. And Seiko is a little underachieving in some areas and needs better management, better quality control, make itself a little rare, slim down the catalog, trim the fat, if you will. And then I believe that they might be there, especially if they stepped up their quality and, just got rid of a lot of garbage, redid their bracelets and stuff like that. So that is my take on it. Hopefully this has been helpful and you enjoyed the banter, because I just love being informative if I can in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to be coming out with some other topics here in a bit, things that questions that are usually raised, maybe hard topics to talk about too, but we'll go there. I have no qualms with that. Anyways, cheers, folks.